was the Pagey remix. You always got to drop like a little thing in there. So
Let's say what?
All right, what's up, guys? Welcome to the I guess it used to be the weekly podcast, but it's been 2 weeks since we've been on, so now it's a monthly podcast, I guess. Welcome to this month's episode of the Weekly Geekly podcast live stream. It's been a couple weeks, guys. We haven't had a chance to talk about individual episodes. We had a lot going on, but that's why in this week's episode we're going to talk about the whole season, which includes the finale, because there were 2 weeks of really exciting episodes that we did not get an opportunity to really break down for you guys. I didn't even get a chance to do reviews for them. So there we go. So I am joined today by Cyber Ninja, who's muted.
That was not my internet was out, right?
Right.
What's up, everybody? How y'all doing?
You have Omega in the building.
What's up?
And we have Pooh in the corner. Not Winnie but
just Pooh.
Just Pooh. We have Paigey here. So sort of a mini crossover from the after party and the Weekly Geekly. Thank you guys so much for your comments about what's been going on with us. I appreciate it. Trust me. Love it. Thank you guys so much. We just don't want to dive into it on this because I kind of want to.
Sport's been amazing. Thank you guys.
Yes. Really. Thank you so much. You guys, it means a lot.
Some of y'all reached out. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. So here's the deal. Mortal Kombat. Next week's Weekly Geekly will be all about the Mortal Kombat movie. So you guys
I got homework to do.
You guys have a week to watch it. Next week, we're going to go into it heavily into Mortal Kombat. So be ready for that next week because there's no show to review. So we'll just talk about that. We'll turn next week's Weekly Geekly into a Mortal Kombat review. And trust me, I can assure you that Cyber probably has a lot of strong opinions. So
don't trigger me.
Well, I saw he's 4.5 out of 5-star review on Letterboxd.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, that's a generous score. If there was a negative in front of it.
So we'll talk about that next week, and maybe we'll get Ben to join us for that because I'm sure he probably gave it 5 out of 5. That's
well, it's a Warner Brothers property, so yeah, he would have given it 5 out of 5.
So
you even saw it. It's beautiful.
And actually, it's out in theaters too. So if you don't have a way to watch it online, and you do have a theater nearby, you can go check it out. Which, by the way, completely unrelated. Godzilla v Kong is doing really good in theaters right now. I think it passed 400 million.
Good movie.
I want that. Yeah.
So be really good. Yes, we're gonna talk about Invincible when that whole season's over.
Yes.
So once it's done, we'll do a Weekly Geekly.
I haven't watched any of it, so
you have a chance.
I will have to catch up
because we have a month before Loki comes out, so we're gonna fill it in with some.
And you guys watched the MODOK trailer too, right?
I did. What did you think? Let's briefly just a kind of a Cliff Notes review of that. What did you all think of that? Honestly, because it reminded me a lot of Robot Chicken.
That's what it is. It's the same people.
Yeah, same production company.
Yeah. Okay. So and I thought it was great. I think if you see this though, that's probably a way to see how he's gonna be for the MCU. Like, I guess looking for the reception of this character,
right? Because this is a Hulu thing, so I would consider this in the same space as like the Hellstrom series and all the other shows. Like it's sort of adjacent to the MCU, I'm guessing. But anyway, I mean, I thought it was interesting. I'll watch it. I like the Robot Chicken stuff, but
I'll say if you like Robot Chicken, this is up your alley.
You have to just remember it's sort of like the Harley Quinn cartoon. I don't know if you guys have watched that or not. It's on HBO Max. It's on HBO Max, but it's a really fun, amazing cartoon. But you have to just kind of it's its own little pocket universe kind of thing. So, all right. So first up, the first thing we're going to talk about is the Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings trailer. We just refreshed our memory by watching it again. This is a movie that a lot of people have been wondering, like, what's it going to look like? How are they going to portray this character? Because of Iron Fist kind of tainted the waters for a lot of people in terms of like this whole mythology. So after just watching it, I have to say I'm very excited for it. I like all the actors involved with it. I think the special effects look really good. It isn't a typical Marvel trailer, but I think Marvel is marketing this in a different way, specifically because they're trying to pull in a wider net of an audience. They're not just catering to the people, because anybody that loves Marvel is going to support this movie. They're going to go watch it. So you don't have to advertise to just those people. You want to get other people that may not come out to watch it. And Paige and I have talked about this. This movie is going to do gangbusters in China and Asia. This movie is it's probably going to be $1 billion alone in that market. So,
oh yeah, absolutely.
so thoughts on the
As
trailer,
long as
guys?
there isn't
So thoughts on the
as
trailer,
long as
guys?
there isn't anything for some reason that comes out as offensive.
Oh yeah, they have like Winnie the Pooh in it or something.
Yeah, wasn't that the thing with that Monster Hunter or something? Like, it was like an
they had a
offensive-
joke
that
that
was
was
a-
really bad. It was a really
Yeah,
bad
it was just a
joke,
bad
so-
joke with the worst translation, and things got mixed up, and they thought it meant something that it didn't, but still.
But hopefully Disney does their homework and we
Yeah.
don't end up with that. Do you guys remember there was a different end credit scene in an Iron Man movie in China? Do you remember that?
I forgot about that. It was Iron Man 3.
Yes, there's an end credit scene that's actually really important to the story that
in Iron Man 3 it was him and Bruce Banner.
But that's not the one that aired in China.
Oh.
In China, there was one that had something to do with a going to the hospital and getting shrapnel removed and things like that. So yeah, it was a scene. You have to look it up on YouTube. It's an actual scene that was only aired as an end credit scene in China. So,
right.
but I don't know why
I
it was
will look
only
into
in
that.
China. I don't know why that was. Like, I feel like it should have just been everywhere. So we'll see. I'm excited for it. I like the idea of changing up the rings to more of bracelets instead of rings. Thoughts on that?
Yeah.
Because that's very different from the comics.
I'm fine with it. It looks better.
Yeah. What about you, Cyber?
Oh, yeah. So first things first, trailer and impressions, soundtrack, visuals, amazing. I said like a while back that I was worried because we weren't getting anything on this movie, nothing. And then a trailer drops out of nowhere, and I'm like, okay, I'm not worried anymore.
Yeah.
This is pretty good. And then as far as the rings go, I actually like the bracelets better.
Okay.
Yeah.
I actually like it better in terms
Yes,
of aesthetics and probably use of what they can do. It just, I think it's going to make more sense watching it live action as bracelets over rings. That's just my personal opinion.
There's very few times, I think, when it comes to Marvel translating their comics into their live action stuff where they make massive mistakes to things. Because I think they spend a lot of time thinking about what they want to do and how they want to change it. So they've made mistakes before. Iron Man 3. I mean, they've made mistakes before. But I think as of recent, they've done a really good job of sort of understanding how to translate things from, the pages of the comic. Because not everything that's comic accurate is going to look great in live action.
Exactly.
I think a good example is that if you go back and you look at the Daredevil movie, right? The Daredevil movie had a more comic book accurate suit, but I think the TV show version of the suit was better for
Daredevil.
Daredevil.
You're gonna say Iron Fist for a second.
Oh no! I just feel like if you look at the Daredevil movie from way back in the day, that suit was pretty much comic book accurate. The mask was a little weird, but the rest of it was pretty much comic book accurate. Whereas I think the TV show went with a more tactile approach, like how would somebody really protect themselves fighting, as a vigilante. And I like that approach to it because one of the things about Daredevil is, and we talked about this briefly when it came to the Avengers, he's one of the few characters from that pocket of the Marvel universe where I think his costume was movie ready. The one from the show I think was movie ready, especially the last version of it.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of times they take that into consideration. Shang-Chi, obviously, they're going to go with a more modern version of his comic book costume. Now, I don't know if it was Paige or myself that spoke about this, but like in the more modern version, he has like a tracksuit, right? Isn't it like a tracksuit, almost like a a Bruce Lee style tracksuit, I believe, in the comics? Did we talk about that, Paige, or no? Was that you and I?
That might have been a dream you had. I can't remember saying that.
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure I saw it on a stream once.
Okay. Well, either way, it was like it's like the tracksuit look. I don't think they're going to go with that. I think it'll be I think it will be that color profile, but I think the suit will be different than that because I know there's already been set photos and stuff. So I'm thinking we're going to see something completely different. And I like Zemo in this role. Like I said, he's on Kim's Convenience. It's a great comedy on Netflix. And so tracksuit, tracksuit or Goku style outfit. I mean, I would prefer the tracksuit. Goku has not translated well into live action, so let's
It would have, yeah.
Oh,
I would
boy.
if they could make it look right. I would prefer the Goku style outfit, but clearly that's.
I'm still waiting
one
on a
has gotten
good
that
live
right.
action Dragon Ball. I'm still
I'm
waiting.
not.
on a
Don't
good-
do it. Don't do
No,
it.
just
No.
don't.
No.
Now I already saw Dragon Ball Evolution. No, thank you.
There we go. Jose says the same way the bracelets were used in the trailer was done kind of reminded me of the movements of fight scenes from the Iron Fist show, but in a movie style. I mean, that makes sense. And they're combining like traditional wire fighting martial arts with like the MCU martial arts, which also looks really cool to me. Because one of my favorite movies, and I've not gone back and watched it in years, when it comes to like makes me think of wire fighting in like a big way, is Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, because of all the
I didn't care for that movie.
I didn't like that either.
Well, I'm not talking about the quality of the movie. I'm saying
that
you're
saying that that particular style.
Yeah, that's kind of the impression I'm getting from this, but more elevated, because wire fighting has actually evolved a lot over the years to the point where now they do it in a way where it's very well hidden. Like you could see it before in like the older stuff. They were good at it, but you could kind of see it. I think in the more modern stuff, it's not as noticeable. So I'm hoping in this movie that they go with that approach, and it seems to me like
in the trailer it looks good, and I'm glad that Marvel has taken this approach with it.
Right,
I think it looks good, and I was worried. But I'm not.
Can't wait to talk about the fighting from Mortal Kombat movie when we talk about that next week.
There was fighting.
That is by the way, just completely unrelated to this. That movie is so controversial right now. There's people that are defending it tooth and nail. It's very, very crazy to me. So
I haven't seen it yet. So
you got a week.
Yeah, I got a week.
You got a week to see it.
I'll watch it as soon as we're done with this.
Yeah, go check it out. It's not like you won't be like. I don't want to spoil it for you, but I will say that when you're watching it, it's going to be one of those things where you're either going to fall asleep or you're going to be like, okay, this is all right.
If you like the movie, don't talk to me because I'll ruin it for you.
Well, that'll happen next week.
You do everything else.
That'll happen next week. All right, so let's go ahead. We're going to jump into the season of the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which is now Captain America and the Winter Soldier.
Dang, you just threw it out there already. You didn't even give it time for, like, if there's a delay or something.
It doesn't matter because people have been posting pictures of it all over social media now. There's really nothing left to hide. But I wanted to give people the opportunity to step away before we talk about any of the finer details. I think it was pretty obvious that one of the two characters would end up being Captain America at the end. So I don't think that's a huge spoiler. So there we go. All right. So this season was a very different show from WandaVision, and I know this was supposed to come out before WandaVision. I actually think this show benefited from coming out after WandaVision. I think personally.
You think so?
Think of it that way. Yeah, because I think WandaVision, if you would have gone with this first, it would have been sort of predictable. And I don't know if it would have pulled in the same buzz that WandaVision did, because WandaVision was a theory nightmare. It really was.
Yeah, but
what are you going to say?
I was going to say, I think that hurt Falcon and Winter Soldier because it was predictable. People were expecting it to be like WandaVision full of theories.
I didn't get that expectation whatsoever.
Well, because we're not the general public. Like I
was going to say, it's all those people that upload stupid videos on TikTok and stuff.
God.
I would say,
did I see that in the background? Do with the crazy music, and then
the reason why I say that though is because more people got into Disney Plus because of WandaVision, and then they probably stuck around for Falcon and Winter Soldier. I don't know if that would have happened with Falcon and Winter Soldier. I don't know if it would have pulled in those numbers.
True.
So that's the only reason I'm saying it.
I don't know, because I specifically got it for Falcon and Winter Soldier. So
right. So did I.
Yeah,
but I'm saying that Disney Plus, their numbers skyrocketed when WandaVision came out.
Well, that's because of the theories. Absolutely.
Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe it's kind of one of those things where I also feel like that Falcon and Winter Soldier, at least to some degree, especially with the finale, was held up to the standard of WandaVision in a weird way. And we talked about this in the rant review yesterday, but the idea that WandaVision, that Falcon and Winter Soldier was ever going to be what WandaVision was kind of weird, because WandaVision got praised for setting up so many lead-ins, but then every article I see that's talking about this finale is talking about how Falcon and Winter Soldier dropped the ball because they set up so many lead-ins. So it's like one thing gets praised for it and then another one gets trashed for it. I think personally, everything that I needed to see, everything that I needed answered from this season got answered in the finale. For me. Anyway, I don't think there was anything left on the show that I was necessarily going, they should have probably answered that question in a bigger way, because I realized that these shows are also platforms for movies.
Yeah, it pretty much wrapped up everything. Yes, it just set things up, but it also did wrap up everything.
People can't expect
WandaVision. It's still so much stuff still just out in the open.
Yeah, anybody that's watching the Disney Plus series and they're expecting Avenger level events or something so massive that it changes the MCU is watching it for the wrong reasons. These things are to get the story and the ball rolling to go into the films. It's just giving you something in the meantime and more character story for those who didn't get it in the movies.
Right.
In my opinion, so far, that's what it seems like. So,
yeah. So Cody here with the $5 super chat. He goes, WandaVision had too much of an open-ended plot compared to Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
Because nobody knew what was going on.
No one knew what was going on. Yeah.
And that was a big issue with it.
I think in this show, even the mysteries still pointed you in a certain direction, which is what I said from the beginning. Like for example, we'll go ahead and talk about this. Sharon being the power broker was probably one of the most disappointing things for me, only because it was such a predictable thing. Like we figured, like
it was like episode 2, right?
Well, when she was
introduced, you got clues. You got clues from episode 2.
At the end of the episode we met her in, she kind of dropped the hint that she was the power broker. And Paigey, we've talked about this. A lot of times, the most predictable, boring answer is what they go with, right? With these shows, like So that's why the theory crafting is weird. Because so two things about her being the power broker. First thing, I don't mind her being the power broker.
Yeah,
I think it's fine with that. I think the problem I have with it, the second thing about it, is I think it was a lazy story element because they were trying to set her up, obviously, for something later on, because we see that at the end of the episode for the finale. But I kind of would have preferred the power broker stay like a mystery. I think that would have been fun to like
that'd have been more interesting. Who it was.
But they literally wanted to set something up with it. So I feel like the name, the power broker, was literally just to align Sharon in this direction. And now there's questions whether or not Sharon is actually Sharon.
Yeah, let's not. Yeah, let's not.
Like, is she a sort of scroll or something?
Yeah, she's a scroll.
People are going to start delving down that path, and it's like, God, no.
Mephisto confirmed.
So speaking of that, Dogmat here with the $5 super chat. What do you think will happen with the power broker? So that's the thing is I think they want to do something. So I think it's safe to say that the Thunderbolts are going to be a thing.
And that's what this was setting that up. And
that's what I was about to say.
Awesome. I thought Zemo wasn't going to make it through this season. So I'm actually stoked.
We're going to get Citizen V. Is that what we're going to get? But
because I was just about to ask, was there is something in the comics where Sharon Carter or this power broker sets up their own?
Sharon Carter, as far as I know, was never the power broker in the comics. The power broker was a separate character completely. But that doesn't, I mean, that all that does is throw us off the scent. Basically, we just don't know what direction they're going to go with it. Could she end up being a Skrull? Maybe. I think it's a little weird.
It just doesn't make sense.
Well, I will say this. It seems a little weird based on what the GRC was saying to her about, her being part of this legacy of the Carter name and stuff like that. It's a little strange to me that they would tarnish that character and that lineage to me.
Well, it's also the fact that you're probably not going to get any resolution with any of these characters for a few years, and Secret Invasion comes out next year. So unless it's like they play the long game and keeping her, but then you got to see the payoff with everything she does afterwards. So I don't know how it makes sense that she's a Skrull unless they're going for a long game with it.
Really long game.
Yeah, like 10 movies in, she's a Skrull for what purpose? Like,
because you have to, because I'd assume, like, I'm not saying like, because I'm assuming they're probably going to announce the Thunderbolts thing soon.
Yeah.
When I guess maybe give it a couple of weeks after this show is, it's now done. Or it's after Black Widow.
They might wait till after Black Widow. That makes the most sense.
Because that's what's being the one of the things that came out is that apparently the what's her name, Florence Pugh,
Yelena,
yeah, she was meant to be in this show, but they scrapped her scene. Scenes.
That's what I heard.
So I don't know if that means that now it's going to be an end credit scene for Black Widow, which connects to Falcon and Winter Soldier, which would have. If Black Widow came out before and they put it in there, it might have spoiled Falcon and Winter Soldier, but now it's done. It doesn't matter.
So what do you think of this comment here? Sharon became the power broker in a couple months after being returned from Blip. So here's the thing. I know she was missing according to the movies. Was it ever confirmed that she was actually blipped, or did she just go missing?
I have not done, I've not dug the scours of the internet to try and find it, but
all we know is there's a shot from the movies that shows her.
But somebody does send that to us on Twitter.
But again, that is literally in the same scene that they said Ant-Man was also missing.
Right.
Like there's no way they could have known this person was blipped versus missing. There's literally no way.
Right.
So I find it hard to believe to get to where she was in the few short months that she was back.
Right.
But maybe. I mean, I could be wrong, but I don't think that.
See, Cody here says, I don't think Sharon was originally the power broker because they had to reshoot some of the stuff, or they had to change things at the end because of the pandemic.
That may be the case too. I think it was just too predictable for her, but it wasn't. Everything they're doing with the little feelers out there for all the different agencies that are being involved in this movie, I didn't have a problem with her being a power broker. I just thought it was too predictable.
I will say this: I actually really like Sharon's character. I think everything up until that point, I was on board with it. Yeah, so I really enjoyed it. So let's move on and talk about John Walker's character this season because he was a very controversial character, and we got to talk about progression. I mean, next to the lead characters with Sam and Bucky, he had the most change from start to finish because he really did ride a roller coaster from the beginning of the series in a very short amount of time. And, obviously becomes U.S. agent at the end. I said early on that I thought he was going to stick around. Were you guys surprised to see him make it all the way to the end and actually become U.S. agent?
Nah.
In the season,
we saw he's coming a mile away.
Not really, yeah.
I will say that in the beginning of the series, the decisions that he was making made me really dislike him. But then as the series continued, I started to not understand. Like, I know people had a problem with like him and Bucky being like pals towards the end.
I wouldn't say pals, but I get the comment from them.
Yeah, but like they took the shield from him. They didn't want to kill him. They took the shield. He got demoted or whatever, and
he doesn't speak for the government anymore. You get no pension, you get no retirement. Yeah.
So essentially, he made the decision to save the people versus going after his target, and ultimately, that's not too different from Bucky, other than he was brainwashed. So I kind of like, now that he's a U.S. agent, I'm kind of curious to see where he goes. I don't hate him as much, and I think I only hated him because the decisions he was making was obviously different from Steve Rogers while wearing the same mantle. But it wasn't him. It wasn't him that I hated. It was
Steve Rogers.
Dislike.
Yeah, it's not what Steve Rogers would have done, and that was like the whole.
And that's not fair to Walker.
Yeah.
So
okay, can I throw something really out there and see what you guys think about this? So part of Bucky's story, and we'll talk about him more in a moment, is this redemption from being this brainwashed like agent of Hydra, basically. And so a lot of things that he did and a lot of the forgiveness that he was asking for had to do with being indoctrinated and being conditioned to be this character. And so he's made a redemption journey for a lot of reasons. I don't think he would have ever made it into Captain America status based on what we saw in the series, but he's definitely on the right path. In a lot of ways, could you say that a character like John Walker was also sort of indoctrinated, but just in a different way? And that the serum turned him into like this, a bigger version of what he already was from being so ingrained in the military.
Yeah.
Do you think that's a take on it or not? I read an article where someone said that all of his statements at the end when he was getting reprimanded for what he did, he said, "You made me, you turned me into this kind of thing. I did everything you asked me to do." Right. Do you think that he's in a similar boat? Obviously, he doesn't have a set of keywords to turn him into the Winter Soldier, but in a lot of ways, do you think that his life has sort of turned him into this, what he is, basically?
Yeah,
and that's the statement on the show. Do you believe in that, or do you not believe in that at all? What do you think?
Yeah, I agree.
I'm curious, Paige, because Paige, you're not American, so I'm wondering how you perceive this from the show.
Well, the way I perceive the show, and I think the main theme of the show is how power corrupts people.
Right.
That's how I look at it. Some people look at it on like a racial pathway. The main theme for me is how power corrupts people. And obviously it's through John Walker where they really nail that. To an extent, Karli as well. It also shows, I'm trying to think of the word, but like why Sam is the right person to be Captain America and take up the mantle.
In fact, he was reluctant.
Yeah, pretty much. So like those are sort of the main theme for the show. And with John, it was just sort of when he took the serum, and not even before that, when he just took the mantle, it just turned everything to 11 that was already there, if that made sense. And that's when he was talking about how the government made him and everything like that. I thought that was sort of like nailing it in regards to what he'd become, and it was sort of them being the driving factor behind it.
And to go a little bit DC on this, John Walker in the comics is similar to like Godspeed. He's not a villain character anymore. He did things that were questionable, and he was the tool of some corruption, but he's kind of redeemed himself. He ended up being the Captain America character for the West Coast Avengers.
Like he's an anti-hero. He would never be like a hero.
Right.
Like Sam, like everything, like all the Avengers we see. But he's not like, oh, you know, I'm trying to think of a Marvel villain. You know, someone.
He's not Doctor Doom. He's not.
Yeah, he's not Doctor Doom. Something like that. I was trying to think of an MCU villain. I couldn't think of anything off the top of my head.
MCU he's not aren't great.
Yeah, like he sits in that gray area, but it leans more towards the good side.
Right.
But like, you know, if you know, he might kill someone.
I don't think he would have snapped had Hoskins lived. I honestly believe that was the driving plot behind that. I think
that was like the wall. That was like his moral wall, if you want to call it. And then Karli, smashed it.
Yeah, flag smasher. Yeah. All right. So we got a super chat here from Gwendolyn. Good to see you. Contessa in the comics is Madam Hydra. So he's U.S. agent. Do you think he will become a bad guy? So I think so. This is another thing. Let's talk about this now. So if we're setting up the Thunderbolts and that's going to be a thing, I believe they're just going to be like a Black Ops government group that's going to do things under the radar and not get connected to Captain America or the government or whatever. So I don't think that they're a bad guy. And I think if she is going to be a Madam Hydra character, I don't think that's her role right now. I think that she's an extension of some, deep dark web type government agency or whatever, where they're doing things, and she might be a double agent with Hydra, but I didn't get that impression because she's walking around these government buildings without any trouble at all. And I think that she's connected to the government somehow. So I don't think he's going to become a bad guy, but I think he's going to be part of the Thunderbolt / Dark Avengers type team. And I think that's what's going to happen. So he is going to be a Captain America, but like in the comics, he's going to be his version, the U.S. agent leader, like he did with the West Coast Avengers. What do you guys think about the Madam Hydra thing with Julia Louis-Dreyfus? What did you think about that?
I know very little of this character because again, I didn't really follow the Avengers comics, but
just based on the show, based on what you saw
on the show, I'm all for the ride. I'm interested to see what she does. Okay. I have no real basis on what she's going to do because I'm not familiar with the character.
I'm curious to see what they do, because essentially what she was talking, like the stuff that she was setting up and the stuff she was doing was the same stuff Avengers had to assign the Accords for. So it's like, are they still doing the same thing, but now they're doing it under the radar? Because the Avengers were under the radar until they couldn't be.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, technically what I think the Thunderbolts are going to be in the MCU is what the government wanted from the Avengers. They wanted a team of superheroes that they can control. Right. That's what I think.
Okay. That makes sense.
The Avengers weren't under anyone's control. It was a private citizen, a god.
They tried with the Accords, but that didn't work out for them. Right. So Nubido here with the $5 super chat. Yesterday you mentioned a show about Bucky going around making amends and crossing names off the book. Would you call the show My Name is Bucky? So I also saw another comment about his story not being prevalent. I think his story was very prevalent in the series. I think it was very obvious that what he was doing. And I made the joke about him going around and crossing off names off the list or whatever, because I don't think that would be, I mean, would that be like my name is Earl? Like what would this be? Like I don't know what we would want from that. I think we had one important person, which was the assassination that he did on the guy's son. That was the person we had to focus on, because that was our, like, we're watching the series. This is what he's doing. This is what he's dealing with. And that was the go-to character that was showing basically the internal turmoil that Bucky was having with being the Winter Soldier. And so that's why it felt like it wasn't as big, because ultimately we also needed to establish that Bucky and Sam were going to have a friendship. Because that was what they wanted to do moving forward. So they did a little bit of both. And the show it's not about one character. It's called Falcon and Winter Soldier, or The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So it's always going to be shared time between these two characters. I mean, Zemo got a bunch of time in the series. We got to see a lot of that. Sharon got a bunch of time when she was introduced. Like, we got time with these characters. I don't think their story had to focus so much on Bucky. I love Bucky. You could have done a whole show on the Winter Soldier and I would have watched it. I don't think he was shortchanged at all. I actually think his story was very important. And I think he did a good job of showing us where they're going to go with him moving forward, because now he's got a family basically he's going to be best friends with Sam. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw him in Captain America 4, which is, by the way, it's been announced already. What do you guys think about Bucky overall in the series? Like, did you think that his story was shortchanged, or how did you feel about it?
I think by shortchanged, you mean just like, you know, it's an afterthought or something like that?
I mean, like, do you feel like they didn't give him a proper beginning and end to his storyline on the series? Because
I think they gave him a beginning and the end. They connected very, very well. I think it was just more in some episodes, you just felt like it was just there for the sake of being there. But you could say the same for like Sam, and like I think in one episode, like obviously they're in a lot of the episode, but it's focusing on other characters.
Well, the episode where they broke Zemo out of jail, Sam was not a focal character in that episode.
Yeah, just like to facilitate the plot.
Yeah,
and another character story, which I'm fine with. But I don't know if you could say they shortchanged him too much, because it's very important to remember. Like, I thought he wouldn't be the Winter Soldier. That wouldn't be his name in the MCU, if you want to call it. I thought it would have been, you know, Sam becomes Captain America, Bucky becomes
the White Wolf, maybe the Wakanda name that he had. So
maybe White Wolf or Buckster. I don't know, something like that.
Yeah.
Gets a new name.
You mean basically a bigger progression, like going from what he was to
well, I think that's maybe what else. If they do a second series where he's in a Disney Plus, which maybe, I don't know if they do anything with Captain America 4 where they develop him heaps or something like that. They might do it on Disney Plus where you get that time with the character. You get like an hour a week, and then that's his development. He moves on into another persona, like how Sam, or another mantle. Like Sam got that progression. Like Sam's obviously the main character in this series by far.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that's maybe why people go, "Oh, he was shortchanged," because it's called the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, but you know, Sam's clearly like top dog.
Yeah.
I think with this, honestly, with Bucky, his conflict was that he gave up the shield while he was trying to make amends, and he was worried if Steve was wrong about him. He was trying to get past all of his past. He essentially did that. Like, we wouldn't need to see him. Like, it would be funny in an episode or two to see him going and not hurting people and then letting him know he's not the Winter Soldier anymore. We don't really need to see that. I think that what they showed for him was fine. Ultimately,
who wants to see that? That's the reality. Who wants to watch that?
And ultimately, there's not much more to tell about Bucky.
Right.
If he's not taking up the mantle, he's not going out doing avenging. He's literally just trying to live his life. So there's literally, he's no different than Steve Rogers in a sense that both their fights are over.
Yeah.
Sam's is just getting started.
I actually think so. For me, looking at all this, there's a lot of things to look at here. So we had the humanizing of Bucky at the beginning, seeing him at the therapist, seeing him go on a date. These are things that happened early on that people just don't remember. That, like, these were all things that he did that sort of tried to remind us that he's a human being struggling. And then you have to put yourself in his headspace. He was programmed by Hydra to be the Winter Soldier. When Sam and him got to see Steve as an old man, Steve did not look to his best friend and said, "Here's your shield. I've known you since we were kids." He gave it to Sam. So that makes Bucky question everything about who he is, because he's like, my best friend that I grew up with passed the shield off to someone else, even though both of us are capable of doing it. Because Sam was Steve's more recent friend, but Bucky was Steve's friend from years and years and years ago. So in his mind, he's questioning his integrity and who he is as a person throughout the entire series. And just because we don't see that, or we don't hear him say that, that is something that he is processing throughout the show, and he's struggling with it. When he has that conversation with Sam, when they're out practicing with the shields and stuff like that, that conversation and what he's saying about how he feels and how he's talking to Sam about who should have the mantle and all that, those are internal things that's been going on with him. He's just vocalizing them for the first time. And I think a lot of that is important stuff that just, it's appropriate, but I wouldn't want a whole series about that. I wouldn't want it to just, like, I don't think either one of these characters, Sam maybe to some degree, but I don't think either one of them would have been able to do what we needed to happen in a series without each other. I think it really did need both of these characters.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yes, I can understand what Paige's saying about maybe giving him a bigger finality to who he was.
But I actually think 6 episodes. I think they could have.
They could have. I think they're leaving the door open though. I think he will be something else later on or become something else, as they would say on Arrow. He will move on to something else there, but I don't think it was for me. It wasn't necessary. And again, just pointing this out there, Winter Soldier is my favorite character in the MCU next to Wanda. So I totally feel okay with like where they went with him, and his storyline. He's got a family now. We talked about this in the review.
I mean, I think it would be okay to see him like, doing his family stuff, and having a good time. And then all of a sudden somebody tries to rush up on him and he's like, bam, with a vibranium arm. That would be cool for an episode.
Also, I have to point this out. I saw this somewhere. So he points out in this show that he is inherently right-handed, but his Winter Soldier arm is his left arm. When he was programmed by Hydra, this was his dominant arm. The minute the programming went away, he uses his right hand.
Oh, there's a lot of little nuances to that.
I didn't even think about that when I was watching. I was like, that's pretty good, because that would explain why he's so badass with his arm when he's in programming mode, because that's the way he's been programmed by Hydra, which makes him inherently not weaker, but less engaging with his right arm. Yeah, because that's going to be his go-to arm for everything, which I think is kind of interesting. So Naruto here with a $5 super chat. Did you notice at the end the fact they replaced Falcon in the title with Captain America? Yeah, Captain America and the Winter Soldier. It made sense because that was the new title that he has there. Let's talk a little bit about Zemo before you move into like the Sam stuff. I do want to talk about him throughout the season. I felt like Zemo was super important and very, I don't know. He was one of my favorite characters of the season, I think. Just some of the little things he did. I did call it out, though. He only wore the mask for that one episode.
I know. That was good. I don't even know why he put it on.
To sell toys.
He put it on and then took it off straight away, didn't he?
Yep. Yeah. It's like to walk, like he put it on top of the crate, I think, and then
shot sell
them
Funko
and took it off.
How are you going to sell Funko Pops without him putting the mask on? You have to have him with the mask on. I think it was great. Then we had the dancing scene that went viral. I guess it was like an hour of him dancing and whatnot. So, but Cyber, you said he wasn't going to be there to the end.
I did, and technically he wasn't. After what, episode 4, he was gone.
Yeah, he was at the raft.
But yeah, no, I thought that Wakanda was going to take him out. Like I thought they were just like, yeah, you're done, dude. But they didn't. So they just took him back.
They just wanted him locked up in the raft. I'm actually surprised they didn't take him back to Wakanda to lock him up.
Yeah, I thought they were going to take him to Wakanda.
No, but you got to remember. You got to remember in Civil War when he, stopped him from killing himself. He didn't take him to Wakanda then.
That's true.
So, and when you think of it that way, it makes sense that they wouldn't have taken him out. But I thought maybe they were going
basically because he got broken out by Bucky, they might be like, we're not going to leave him in jail anymore. We're going to take him back to Wakanda and lock him up. So, so is it agreement that Zemo? Did everybody enjoy Zemo? Any criticism about him?
Yeah, it's like, why do I like the bad guy and hate the supposed good guy? Yeah, I said
really
that yesterday.
Even though he's a bad guy.
Yeah, he's a.
But here's the thing:
in real life, I'd say take him out. In the MCU, yeah, sure.
So, Paige, we go over this a lot when we talk about like villains or whatever. Would you consider Zemo to be like a gray character and not necessarily a bad guy? It seems like his goals are personally aligned. You know what I mean? Like he's not trying to necessarily do anything but what he wants instead of like
just for personal gain and various things like that. Yeah, I wouldn't say he's like Thanos or anything in that mask to try and look like Thanos.
Yeah.
But I think he's just like, he's probably like, if you want to say it, he's probably in a similar case to John Walker. They're in that gray area, just that maybe John's leans more to the good while Zemo maybe leans a bit more to the
that
bad.
Makes sense. Yeah, I would say that. Yeah. Because Zemo doesn't want to hurt everybody. Zemo actually wants justice for like Sokovia and stuff like that. So he's not necessarily. It's really tough to like put someone in a box when they're so complicated. And I think Zemo is a complicated character, which is what I think makes him interesting. Actually, so let's talk a bit about Karli and the Flag Smashers. Are you reading something and laughing there? Is that what?
No, I think when Cyber said he like at the beginning when he hated John, I was gonna say, who'd you hate more, John or Karli?
Yeah. So Karli, I said this in our in the review for the episode, but I want to talk about it season long. So there's a lot of people that felt like Karli wasn't well fleshed out in the series, but I think that was on purpose, right? Right. I think she was intended to be just the face of a movement. She wasn't supposed to be a character with a real deep storyline because we didn't know very much about her. And she even says in the finale, it doesn't matter if I die. This is bigger than me. I don't care about people that don't matter kind of thing. She says that to John when she talks about Hoskins and Battlestar. And so I think Karli was literally, if you want to talk about putting a face to a group, she's like the epitome of that. She is the Captain America of this movement. Like, if you didn't know anything about Captain America and you saw him running around with the red, white, and blue, you would only know what he stands for. And I think that's kind of what Karli did. And matter of fact, she didn't even want to be the face of the movement because they all wore masks. So I think turning the Flag Smashers into a group instead of an individual person, I think is what they were trying to do. Thoughts on Karli? Because if you're talking about a villain of the series, I think Karli is another one of those characters where she does villainous stuff, but she's in a gray area. So
she doesn't want to do it, but it's like, you gave me no other option.
I don't think that's true. I think by the end, she did want to do it. I think she went through a journey where they tried to redeem her. And Zemo told Sam she's not redeemable. I think at a certain point, she could have switched it off. But by the end of the series, she was not going to switch anything off. She was fighting Sam and saying, fight me back or whatever. She made that decision at the end, by the end.
Yeah, by the time whatever, I think it was her grandma or whatever died on her. That's what she was like, I have nothing else to lose. Screw it. I'm done.
So you think that was a breaking point for her then?
Yeah, that's when she was just like, everyone got to go. I'm ending. I'm going to end this now.
Right. What are your thoughts? What are you guys' thoughts on it too?
I think that the Flag Smashers was literally just a plot point to get Sam to where he needed to be. They didn't.
I wouldn't disagree.
they were the villain of the week. You know, when you watch a CW show, it's the villain of the week. It's they're there not for you to get interested in them. They're there to show you what the heroes are trying to accomplish. That's it. They were super soldiers, but there was 7 of them?
8
right?
Total, I think. It was 8.
And what we knew Karli.
And like 2 of the lackeys. That was pretty much it.
That's it. Their whole movement was to set this up to here. They're gone. They're not coming back. And I think that I don't think she was a wasted character. I think she was a great actress. I just think that they literally were just there because they needed a story to set things in motion with John Walker and Sam to take the mantle. That's all they were to me. I didn't care for them. I'm not going to miss them.
I wouldn't disagree.
What about you, Pedro? Thoughts on the Flag Smashers?
Yeah, I'm pretty much the same thing. I in one ear out the other, pretty much as soon as the series ended, won't be remembering the Flag Smashers. To me personally, I have nothing against the actress, but she looks like she was gonna cry every single time she was on screen. So like she was about to cry every single time. I don't know if it's just me. I had a feeling like the way they wanted us to feel about Karli was like how John Walker was done throughout the series. Like they probably wanted Karli to be what John ended up being.
Right. What about you, Mega? You talked about you wanted to see more from Karli later on, right? You wanted to see her.
Yeah, I actually kind of wish she was more fleshed out instead of just being kind of this freedom fighter thing. But like Cyber Ninja said before, how she was kind of just the villain of the week or whatever. I wouldn't disagree. That's probably what the whole purpose was for this entire group.
All right. So someone was saying that I think it was up here, Hero's Journey said that I called her Captain America. I didn't call her Captain America. So let me explain this. And this is the way I see Captain America as a character outside of Steve Rogers as a person. Captain America to the rest of the world, contrary to popular belief, is like a propaganda character. He's literally a propaganda character because he walks around in red, white, blue, and he's called Captain America. So when you look at like a person that you're tying, this is exactly why John was stripped of the title, because the government sees that Captain America as a character that just goes around representing the United States.
Yeah, and he straight murders a guy in broad daylight.
Exactly.
Yeah, you can't have that.
This isn't me making that up. That's literally what the character was designed to be. If you go back and you watch the first Captain America movie, Steve Rogers wasn't taken seriously. They put him in that weird ass like suit with spandex and had him go out doing plays where they were fighting in World War II and stuff. Like he was a character that he was designed for that reason. So in a lot of ways, Karli on the show was our connection to this movement of the Flag Smashers in the same way that
it was just a focus point for us.
Right. That's what I meant.
The group had to cut, like the decisions of the group had to come from somewhere.
Right. So
and 90% of the people didn't even know what the movement was. They were literally just or they knew, but they didn't know the ins and outs of it. They were waiting around to get a little app thing so they could show up. They weren't actually in the know of what was happening.
The other thing is it's really hard, and I don't know any shows that have. You guys have to tell me if you remember it, because you look at something like the Borg on Star Trek and these other groups where they're supposed to be like this one voice, one mind type thing.
And there's always one.
Exactly. There's always
either the cutest or the Borg queen.
So there's always a character that sort of steps out and does that. And I think we have to remember that when somebody is representing an entire group of people or an entire country or whatever, they are simply a mouthpiece for that group, whether they want to be or not. And this is why Sam wants to break that system by being a Captain America that isn't just a mouthpiece for the government. And that's what he, like Steve fought against that all the way up to the end. But ultimately, and you see this in the Winter Soldier, when Nick Fury is talking to Steve about the plans that the government has, that SHIELD has for having these, the helicarriers and stuff like that flying around. And they're doing this stuff that looks like it's spying on the general public and keeping track of people that may commit crimes and stuff like that. Steve fought against that constantly, which is why Sam and Bucky held him at such high regard. So now Sam has the opportunity to finish that story that Steve started, which is showing that the vision of Captain America doesn't always have to line up with what the United States wants from him as a superhero, which is why US Agent is still probably going to be the extension of what America wants in just a darker way. I think.
It's going to be kind of the plausible deniability. Is that, wait, no, US Agent does this. Who's US Agent?
Right.
Oh, you mean that guy who was Captain America? No, we dishonorably discharged him. What are you talking about?
Exactly. Yeah, that's pretty much what it's going to be. Introverted. Yeah, exactly. Introverted Unicorn, $5 super chat. Do you think the super soldier serum was as potent as the original? I mean, Steve was injected with 6 vials versus the one John Walker took. We're talking about like 100 years of medical advancement since that happened.
They probably got it
back
down
in the day, rabies shots went right into your stomach, and now
it was like 16.
I think though that there is something that formula versus the one they're doing now is just completely different. I don't think it's the same because like the one that Bucky had Kree blood.
Yeah.
So there's a whole bunch of different ways. I think that Cap's might have been stronger. I don't know. Bucky did take a whooping from him now.
So yes, 2 things though. We have to remember this. Number one, this serum was derived from the experiments that were done on Isaiah and his team of people. So this isn't the same exact serum that gave Steve his powers. The ones that Steve got came from Stark. So it was a different thing. And the government kept trying to replicate the super soldier program. And the Isaiah story told us that there are people who got injections that it didn't work and things happened to them that weren't supposed to happen. So what this doctor did that was working for the power broker was he fine-tuned the serum that was derived from Isaiah is what I'm getting, is what we're being told here. So it's not the same exact serum. So I would say it's different in a way that we don't know necessarily what all the side effects are, but what we could tell from John and even from Karli to a degree is it does cause them to perceive the world a little bit differently, like in their heads and stuff. I don't know if that's the same with Bucky or Steve.
I think just in terms of strength in general, I think that Cap's was probably more potent.
Probably. I don't think Bucky's was as potent, but he made up with it by having a metal arm and the training. I think that this serum may be a little bit better than the other stuff because the doctor did say he like streamlined it and fine-tuned it or whatever. But I don't think it was enough. Bucky only really got his ass beat when he was being fought by multiple people. So I think a lot of it had to do with just being overpowered. You got basically they had like 8 Captain Americas fighting against one other super soldier. Even John got overwhelmed, and he had the same serum that they had. So I don't know.
That's maybe we'll one day find out. Probably not.
Well, I mean, Zemo got rid of everybody. So Gary with the 99-cent super sticker. Thank you so much. Good to see you, Gary. So let's talk a bit about here, Laura, this is interesting. Do you think Sam will cut his connection with the government? I think that was the whole statement that he made at the end of the finale was that he's
I think he already did
that they need to be better, basically. So she's propaganda, but I didn't accidentally say Captain America. How is this confusing to you?
I think he misheard you because you said like she is to the Flag Smashers what Captain America is to the other side or something like that.
But that's what Captain America was initially.
Yeah, no, but I think he's just misheard you and then going down.
Steve Rogers eventually broke away from what Captain America was supposed to be. The original Captain America, the one from all the way back in the first movie, was designed to be American propaganda. That's what I was saying that Karli was in the sense of the show when she was speaking out on behalf of the Flag Smashers. I hate to say this, but if you don't understand that, I'm not going to answer the question again. I think that's pretty obvious what I'm saying there.
It'd be an interesting theory if you were saying that Karli is the next Captain America, though, Eric, even though she's dead.
I don't think she's dead.
Yeah, there's a Omega thing.
She talked about that yesterday. I don't think she's dead.
I hope she's dead. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, B. Allen Hart here says Nagel reverse engineered the serum by isolating what he thought were critical. Exactly. So his might have been more potent than the ones that they used to create Isaiah and the other super soldiers. So here's the thing. Let's talk about Sam, and we're going to talk about Isaiah together because I think those stories sort of kind of drove each other through the series. So at the beginning of the series, we find out Sam, he's still got the shield, and he's struggling with what he should do with it. He decides to give it back to the government, which Bucky was like, "That's awful. Why did you do that?" Because Sam didn't feel like he was the person that needed to. He felt like Steve was Captain America. He had no idea they were going to create this other Captain America. He didn't know. So anyway, so he's struggling with that a bit, and then he gets introduced to Isaiah, who was part of this Captain America program the government was doing, experimenting on Black Americans, and then allowing Isaiah to take the fall for all of their bad decisions. Which, let's be honest, are any of us surprised that that was the case? I mean, that they would try and hide some big mistake they made and then let a black guy take the fall for. I mean, this is like clearly
especially in like a war environment,
right?
How many cover-ups were in war?
It was awful.
1940s America.
Yeah, it was awful. And in the comics, I think there are stories because I know a little bit about Isaiah, but I know they expanded on it later on. But he even got to wear the red, white, and blue at a certain point. So he was technically going to be what they considered to be this government-funded Captain America. And then he's hiding out. And so every time Sam has spoke with him, it seems like he's trying harder and harder to understand. It's kind of like he's looking for approval from Isaiah for what he's going to do. And I got that impression. So Isaiah, and especially his grandson, which by the way, we talked about this also in the review, he's going to probably become the Patriot character who later on joins Young Avengers. So there we go. But Isaiah doesn't want to have anything to do with the shield. And I can't say that, that I don't agree with him because I do absolutely understand where he's coming from what he did. So, and we find out at the end that Sam has managed to get him included in the display for the Captain America Super Soldier program and finally giving him the recognition that he deserves. And I would be lying if I didn't say I was tearing up at that scene. That was a very emotional scene.
Yeah,
after everything they had gone through. And what did you guys think before we dive into Sam's ending at the series? What did you think of Isaiah's storyline? Because it ended up becoming much more important than what it was originally. Like I didn't realize we were going to go that deep into it. How do you like how they handled that? What did you think? Thoughts?
I thought it was done well. The one thing, because I think the best thing to say is it was done well, and it was brought up when it needed to be brought up, and it sort of complemented what happened with Sam, Sam's story as well went well with it. I think that's English. The one thing I noticed is that it was weird to see Carl Lumley in this role because I thought he was terrible in Supergirl as Martian Manhunter's dad. I thought, wow, this guy cannot act. Holy crap.
And then you give him something. You give him something really good.
You give him something with like some sort of like depth to it.
Impact and depth.
He nailed it. And it was like night and day. I was like, what the hell? Because what I didn't realize was in this show, and then he showed him. I was like, that Carl Lumley, and then he was good, and I was like, oh, there we go. That's last time I've been seeing you for the past few years, and I've been a bit worried, but yeah, there we go. And did he like? He must have had like padding on because he's like a lanky dude. I think. He's more
I
like
think they probably did give him a little bit of padding in the suit
because he looked like built. So I don't know if like at his age he would have been doing that many weights and stuff like that.
If we ever get like a like an Isaiah story beyond this or whatever, like a flashback to what actually happened with him, I'm going to assume that we're going to see like hopefully because they have the de-aging technology. I don't know if they do like Carl Lumley de-age him and have him running. I'm assuming
because I was actually talking to my brother. Apparently, that actor is like in his 70s.
Yeah.
He does not look like it.
He seemed really frail on Supergirl, which is weird because on this he was not. And
I think that was the whole shtick. On is meant to be like this like old alien sort of thing. So
I enjoyed it, and honestly, I've said this to several people. I didn't realize that we were going to cover that much of a racial storyline in the series. I knew it would be part of it, but I didn't realize it was going to go that deep, and it was handled really well. I don't think I've seen a superhero series deal with the heavy subject matter in the way that this series did, and the way it was translated to TV. Because a lot of times, and I say this when I watch some other shows, I don't want a PSA or like a Facebook breakdown of racial issues or social issues. If you're going to do it, commit to it and write a damn good story. That's all I ask for, because you see it done in a lot of other media, but in superhero stuff in particular, it seems like they have a really hard time doing that. And I think on this show, it was very clear that they gave a shit about what they were writing and they made it work.
Yeah, because usually when they'll bring subjects like this in, it's done so heavy-handedly. They just shove it in your face. This was like, no, it was part of the storyline. It actually had some actual historical backing to it, and they didn't beat you over the face with it.
Yeah.
Although some would disagree, but they kiss my ass.
They didn't create it as a token storyline. It was literally a big part of the series, and I really enjoyed that. So I really like how they took it. And so,
do you think if they'd done flashbacks, that would have been the beating over the head? Do you think it was just better to just have it through him telling the story?
Well, basically, for them beating us over the head, it would have been like they had like a flashback, and then they had like someone just yelling at him, treating him like a little kid or something like that. That would have been just okay. That was a bit too much.
Yeah. So Maltor says, "What about Black Lightning? Black Lightning's not telling the same story as this one. It's a different thing. Black Lightning's really good, and I've always said Black Lightning does a really good job. But this was a completely different thing. I think that
I haven't seen Black Lightning,
so yeah, go ahead.
You could say like the whole thing with Isaiah is it's got the parallels. They even like do that. Was it in episode 5 or 4, or was it 6? I have no idea what episode it was. When they do like the parallels to like what Steve did in the first Avenger and everything like that. Yeah. It was almost just showing like the differences in treatment, if you want to call it. While Black Lightning Black Lightning just sort of centers on.
Well, the thing is, issues. Isaiah has had to go into hiding. Black Lightning is a series about a family that's living and interacting with the world. Isaiah has literally been blackballed by the government. Yeah, so I think to me it's a different story. Yeah, it does have some parallels, but I think that where Isaiah is versus where Jefferson Pierce is two very different things.
And also, does Elijah have? He doesn't have like the bloodline of the Serum, does he?
We don't know.
Because did Isaiah say that he had kids with his wife before? Because didn't she die before he came back? Was it something along those lines? Is that what he said?
I think he had one kid before he got put in. I don't remember. I gotta look at that.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember.
This person always comes in with some kind of troll comment. I have no idea what you even mean by this. It's not so in our faces.
He's basically saying just showing racial injustice, period, is being in our face. He's being sarcastic. I
don't understand.
Thanks for the $5.
Oh no, I get what he's saying. I just don't care.
Yeah. So, well, the thing about it is, in the climate we're in right now, I find it very disingenuous to make comments about not showing racial injustice. Obviously, it's something that's going on in the moment. So, to act like we don't see it already is so weird. It's just not well done sometimes in writing. And I think
I can say this, like watching the show, because I think like for the show to hit as like what the writers intended, I think you had to be American. I think like that was like for me watching from like an outside perspective, like I got some of it and didn't get some of it at the same time. Even though I know that like the issues they brought up should be universal, I think the way that they sort of portrayed it was a very American way. So I don't know. Look, obviously, I'm the outsider here out of this quartet.
Sorry.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I don't know. That's just general.
Isaiah's wife died when he was in prison. So yeah, she had a kid by him and Isaiah's his grandson.
Right. So Elijah wouldn't have any sort of like bloodline thing.
I wouldn't be surprised though if
that's just his kid. Yeah,
I would say this. I wouldn't be surprised though if he's inspired by both his grandfather and Sam and decides that's why he's going to pick up a mantle. But
so does he have like that in the comics, like any sort of like serum power?
Later, it's like in the comics, he has to get a blood transfusion from his dad since they were a match, and then that's how he gets super.
Oh, so they'll probably do that with Isaiah.
Maybe Isaiah's story will end up with him eventually passing, and he has to do something for his grandson before he goes. And so that sort of sends him on a journey. We're theory crafting here at this point, but
absolutely,
maybe that's going to happen. So,
but in terms of the Isaiah story, from my perspective, I thought it was very well done. When Falcon and Winter Soldier was coming out, we had no idea what the show was going to be about, and I didn't know it was going to take the turns it did. But I'm glad they did. I think they did it in a way that people can understand where it's coming from and actually see the difference, and not just think it's being thrown in there just to throw it in there. It actually did matter.
Yeah.
Was he announced in the show before it aired?
I don't think so.
No, I don't think
remember. Like, I think that would have been
because when Bucky said, "I'm taking you to see someone," I'm like, "Who could this possibly be?" Like, I thought it was Sharon at first.
Right.
Was going to be in the show. So yeah, it didn't. Yeah, very weird. All right, so let's talk about Sam. Let's wrap this up and talk about Sam's journey here. After he talks to Isaiah and stuff. So I think a lot of people after the fact were saying, it was pretty obvious that Sam was going to be Captain America, but that's easy to say once the series is done. I think at the beginning, there was a question on whether or not they were going to share the title of Captain America. Maybe both of them would become Captain America.
That's what I was thinking too, honestly.
Yeah, something along those lines. Sam being Captain America makes sense based on the series now. After we see the journey of both of these characters, I think it makes sense that Sam got the title. I think seeing his family and seeing everything that he's going through and everything after people came back from the blip and all the struggles that the world's in, and the idea of, Captain America being this voice that's needed in the world and this new face of Captain America, I think it all added up to Sam just being the right choice. And plus, we got a dope new costume for Captain America. I love Sam's Captain America costume. It is not completely comic book accurate, but it is damn close.
It's close.
It's really, really close. So when I saw him fly, I literally cheered a little bit when I saw him fly in with the red, white, and blue on. I was like, okay, this makes sense. Because that tease at the end of last week when he went to open the box and then it cut to black,
I was talking to my brother about this. I was like, man, if they cut it off this episode when he opens the box and don't show, oh god dang it.
Yeah,
I was so pissed.
I will say that if I am let down by anything in terms of Sam's story, but I know why they did it. I get it. Don't get mad at me for saying this. I had hoped he would get some sort of enhancement when becoming Captain America, either some sort of serum or maybe like a pseudo Iron Man suit or something like that. I was hoping they would take that extra step, but based on his speech at the end and what they wanted to do with his character, it made sense that he didn't actually get the serum because they had to tell that story with John Walker. And it would have been weird to also give it to Sam. Overall, I really enjoyed Sam's story. We'll talk about the details and stuff here in a second, but I want to get your guys' thoughts on it. Did you like this direction? Do you like where Sam started and where he went? Like, overall, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I enjoyed where Sam went. I gave praise week after week that I think that Anthony Mackie was just killing it every time that we did a Weekly Geekly. I think that everything he did was heartfelt. I think that this is showing you that his character is one of those characters that you would see in the comics and be like, this character's worthless, and then see their actual worth on live screen. And the only reason why I wanted to see him get some sort of enhancement, maybe through the serum or through the suit, was just because if he goes up against an extraterrestrial level threat, he can't take the hits and still be able to compete. And we saw that in Infinity War, like he tried. So, but that doesn't change his character. And I think for his character, it fits perfect.
Yeah, it fits his
character. I don't want to see it any other way.
Yeah, because him and Winter Soldier got worked by Spider-Man in Civil War.
That's what I mean. That's
he
what
got
I'm saying.
worked.
So, anything that's going to happen.
But there was a training montage. He trained. He ran around.
He did. But which, by the way, we got. I'm pretty sure we got heat on the Weekly Geekly where we were saying how was John so good with the shield when he didn't train with it. It was, but we don't know how much time passed. But it clearly wasn't that much. And then they literally give you a scene where he's literally training with it because you can't just pick it up and throw it and be, yeah, I
think some of the time editing probably messed that up a little.
I'm just saying.
Yeah. What about you, Paige?
It feels good to be justified sometimes.
Paige, your thoughts on Sam? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, as I said earlier when I was talking about the whole Bucky getting shortchanged, I thought they handled Sam's character really well. They gave him everything they needed to progress him into that character, and they proved why he was the right choice. I don't understand how there was this debate that still happened when we even got. I think it was pretty clear after the first 2 episodes, but once we even got towards the end, people were still debating whether he was the right choice to be Captain America. And I was like, I think it's pretty clear. I know people probably wanted Bucky to be Captain America at some point, but I'm just he's obviously clearly not the right choice based on what the show's presenting. And it's not even forced. It's just how it's being, progressed through the plot and everything like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm intrigued to see where they move forward with the character and stuff like that. But in regards to his suit, I hate white on suits.
Yeah.
Because it can always look weird. I do like how if you they did a close up and he has it has white bits, but then it has gray in certain areas as well to sort of detail a bit more. Maybe it needs a bit more gray, and maybe they swap the colors of gray and white around. But I like the suit. It's because it looks sort of like his the texture of his Falcon suit, the pants and everything, but it's just in that Captain America. Pretty much from the comic design and stuff like that. So, yeah, and I do, how it was the Wakandans made. I wonder if they just chuck some Black Panther suit technology where it can take some hits.
Yeah, that's what we mentioned.
So yeah, let's talk about the suit specifically. So Quinlan here says in the comics, does the character have any type of enhancements? He has a couple things. I believe he has some sort of implant that lets him control or talk to animal birds or whatever. I don't think they'd ever do that. The only reason I expected more though is because with Wakanda in charge of making the suit, I thought, well, there's a possibility that he could get the Black Panther suit could absorb kinetic energy, and then he could use it to slam on the ground. So I thought for sure they'd put tasers or some kind of vibranium weave or maybe some pseudo nanotech like what they had in the Iron Man suit or whatever. He doesn't have to have it. Absolutely, they don't have to put it on there. But I'm thinking, if you look at Tony and what Tony was doing, so I think of Sam as a really solid combination of Iron Man and Captain America. I just wanted him to meet a little bit closer in the middle because that tech, the wings and stuff like that and everything eventually got upgraded by Stark Tech. And so now having the Wakandan tech, it just made sense to me that it should have been a little bit more. If they're not going to make him a super soldier, we saw a little bit of it in the finale where the wings actually went into the ground and it gave him leverage to fight back and stuff like that. If the wings can become more tactile so he can use them to fight with, I will be happy with it. If instead of throwing a punch, think about how much more power it would be if the wings actually did if he went to swing and it was the wing that hit and stuff like that. I think there's so much more you could do with that they just didn't really do in this finale.
Well, even when he throws the shield and stuff like that, if it's the wing that sort of gives it some sort of propulsion, or it'd be very OP if you did have that kinetic energy thing. It was kinetic energy powered shield throw.
Well, yeah, he did kind of do the charging star, which is a super move from Marvel Superheroes.
I thought that was amazing.
That was pretty cool. Here's the thing, Ethan, that you're going to hate a lot of stuff moving forward because there's an entire series based on Iron Man suits. You
have Ironheart as well.
Yeah. So, I mean, the idea, he doesn't have to have I didn't want to see
I like
Iron
super
Man
suits.
I don't mind the suit. The suit can look exactly the same. It doesn't have to look like an Iron Man suit.
I want an Iron Mech.
Seems a little weird to me that they didn't give him some enhancements. If he had a taser, could you imagine if he had tasers built in that suit or something? They could do more with it.
Well, just look at Black Widow, right? She had a bunch of gadgets in her suit that would shock people and stuff. One-on-one, there's no doubt that Falcon would be able to keep up with any. Like he struggled against George St. Pierre.
Batroc.
Yeah, I keep forgetting his name. He struggled against him at the beginning part, and then they got their rematch. But that was one person, and they were still fighting in the end, and he got the upper hand, and I was glad to see it. But think about when he's starting to fight.
It reminds me of Marvel versus Capcom 2. Like Falcon is a distance fighter. Like he needs to stay. He's not a close fighter. So.
Right, he is a zoner. And it's like, so when you're putting that person up front to go into the battle, it's kind of like you want a little bit more just so you don't die. It's not because I don't think he's he can fight. And
Quindlen, this is exactly what I hope to see. I want to see a progression of that costume, and I think by the time we get to the movies, we'll see more.
Yeah, they probably once we get to the movies, they're probably going to show off a lot more of what the suit's going to do. This is just kind of just a taste,
right?
Yeah. But overall, I love the suit, and I think we'll see more.
Speaking of that, we had this speech from him that sort of solidified him as Captain America, because we had the imagery where he came down with Carly's body and he had the wings out, and it was kind of like this angelic moment.
Which was actually a comic cover, but it wasn't of Carly. But it was a comic cover, but I can't remember what issue it was, but I know it was a comic cover.
But the speech, I've seen a lot of people criticizing the speech, and I have some criticisms about it. I just think it was a little bit too long. I think it went on a little bit too long. But the context of the speech and what he was saying, they wanted to make sure the world understood that this is the new Captain America. Moving forward, he is not Falcon anymore. He's going to be Captain America. And Joaquin, who we saw in a brief scene in this, who has the old wings, is going to become the new Falcon. So we're going to have a different Falcon. We'll have a different Captain America. And so this is our Captain America moving forward. And we got the announcement of a new Captain America movie. They're going to be working on Captain America 4 coming out soon. So now after we're all done with this and we've seen the speech and we've seen the announcements and everything that he did, how did you guys feel this transition went from going from Falcon to Captain America? And are you looking forward to seeing what Sam does in this role?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Like I said before,
no complaints, no issues with it. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Were either of you thinking we would get it? Because here's the thing: I knew he would be the new Captain America, like up until like the last episode when we were watching it and everything. I didn't know if we'd get another movie. Are you surprised that we're getting a Captain America 4? I thought for sure he would be Captain America. I didn't think we would get another, because he's probably going to get a trilogy. We'll probably get 4, 5, and 6 now at this point. So based on everything, you weren't surprised at all? I mean, I was a little bit surprised by it.
Okay. Not one bit.
What about you, Cyber Pagey?
Not overly surprised. I'm just intrigued to see when it happens. Like, is it something that they plan to do in the next 3 or 4 years, or is it, in that, it comes after like Fantastic Four and stuff like that? Like, how soon
I think
does
it's going to be. I think it's going to be way out.
Yeah, it's going to be. Yeah, it's going to be out there though.
They have so many films.
They already had the director and the writer done. Like, I think they knew that this was going to happen like a while ago.
Yeah,
we don't know how far along pre-production it is.
So you think this announcement was more of like it was already happening? It's not something that's coming down the pipe. It's something that's going to be in the midst of this phase.
I don't know about this phase. I don't know about this phase. If it is, it'll be I feel like this Captain America movie is going to be the precursor to reestablishing the Avengers. I think that's what we're going to see. I think that movie is going to come out, and then we'll move into another like Avengers team up, because I think that the phase we're heading into right now is going to be bringing new characters in. So to do a Captain America movie during like a sort of rebranding of what the MCU is, I don't know if that's a bad idea, but I don't think it fits within what they're trying to do at the moment, because they're doing like we're talking about the multiverse of madness and all of this going on. I think having Captain America kind of bring it back down would be a good way to put a bookend on this next phase, I think, personally.
Well, they haven't really announced a ridiculous amount, because unlike a lot of the movies, either to do with the multiverse or to do with the Young Avengers.
Right.
So maybe
I'm wondering if that's going to be mostly Disney Plus stuff. Like they're going to be mostly series or
I think so.
Like that.
Yeah, Young Avengers. Yeah, that sounds about right.
I think so.
So Metallic Noel here says, I would like a U.S. agent movie on Disney.
Actually, I wouldn't mind seeing that either.
I don't think he's going to get a solo anything.
You think he'll be in the Thunderbolts maybe?
Yeah, it's a team. It's going to be a team.
Yeah, I'm down for anything. Just off for the ride.
Cody says, I think it's coming in 2 years. Oh,
not that soon.
Yeah.
Well, they better start filming.
Yeah,
really.
So overall, let's take the whole series into account. I know there's a lot of critics that said that this episode was awful. The finale episode was awful. And I'm like, I
didn't get that when I saw that.
Awful
I was like,
is an awful, like, it's a harsh word to use.
Like, it wasn't awful at all. The thing is that I think they did rush some things, but I think that was probably COVID related. I think they might have been. It wouldn't surprise me too much if either they were.
They were said it was like
there's another episode there potentially that they wanted to do, or it was just general runtime. But it wouldn't surprise me too much if COVID, was an issue with it, because I think Sam, they did everything right with Sam. But I think I can see the argument where, like, maybe they rushed John, maybe they rushed Sharon. I think Sharon is probably the most rushed out of all of them.
I would say that's probably true.
Yeah.
So I can see those criticisms, but to say, for me, that probably takes, if they were all done well, the episode would probably be like a 9, 9.5. Yeah. So it takes it down to maybe like a 7.5, 8.
That's what I said.
To say it makes it, oh my God, it was the most unwatchable thing.
IGN gave it a 5 out of 10.
IGN could eat it.
IGN also gives like every Call of Duty like a 9 out of 10 every single time it comes out.
Yeah, that's true. And Madden, I think.
Like, I think there's a certain level of competence that you can't deny, and if you start grading it lower than that level of competence, you're just hating on it at that point. Because I think, like, we talk about shows that are not good, you can look at something objectively and say, you know what, I liked it, but I realize it's not that great. Everybody loves bad movies, right? There's guilty pleasure movies.
You mean Mortal Kombat?
Yes, right. There's guilty pleasure movies for everybody. But to look at something that is competently done and may just have a few minor issues and give it barely watchable scores, there's something else going on there.
The only thing I want to say about Sharon, and I'm just throwing this out there because this has nothing to do with anything. I didn't get to talk about the review of the last episode, but I just want to put out there, why would she show up in a face mask and then pull it off and say nobody's looking for me anyway? Right. You should have just showed up as Sharon.
By the way, for people that always argue about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., by the way, I'm sporting Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. shirt. For people that argue that's not canon, that technology was introduced in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
It was also in Captain America Civil War.
Right.
That's what Black Widow used.
So it's been around for a while.
Yeah.
So people were like, where did that technology come from? And I'm like, it's been around forever. Like, forever. So
as far as are we
that was kind of funny, Omega, that you bring that up. The whole idea about her being a Skrull because she can shape shift. That's pretty funny.
Yeah. But overall, are we giving our score of the whole series because we're not doing just that episode?
So okay, so guys, because of the drama around it, give us your scores for the episode and then your score for the series in the comments, and make sure you put like whatever your score is finale and then whatever your score is for series.
I'm sorry, Zoe, you are correct. It was Winter Soldier.
So so anyway, yeah. So go ahead, give your scores, put what your finale score would be, and then put what your the series score would be. So for me, I really enjoyed the series. I would probably give it somewhere between an 8 and 8.5 for the whole series. I think it was a really strong series, and I gave the finale an 8. So I think it's a very, very, very good series. I think it is an extension of the Captain America brand. If you watched all the Captain America movies and all the Avengers movies, this feels very in that for me. It doesn't feel like a TV show. Every episode felt like a movie, and the fight scenes were above the level you'd expect from like something on the TV level. So
would your score have been higher if it was a CW show?
It would have been.
It was Legend of Tomorrow. Would have been.
I mean, think about the quality that we saw in this.
We would not see this on CW.
This would have been 100 out of 100.
The closest thing to this on the CW right now is Superman and Lois. That's the closest thing.
I thought you were going to say Supergirl.
No. But Superman and Lois is also an HBO Max property, so the money.
I would say first season of Arrow was pretty right, or in second season maybe.
You need to go back and watch it a little bit. It's not at this level. It's good, but it's not. I'm talking about special effects, not the quality.
No. I understand. Yeah. I mean, an 8, it's fine, right? That's what you gave it, an 8. There's nothing wrong with that. That's respectable.
One thing I did see online after it wasn't like just straight after, but it was like a couple of days after it finished. There was people saying that it was after the Captain America 4 announcement came out, and everyone was like, "Do you even have to watch Falcon and the Winter Soldier? Do you think you have to watch Falcon and the Winter Soldier to watch Captain America 4?"
I think Captain America 4 will do a quick catch up at the beginning, most likely.
Yeah.
It'd be helpful if you did, but probably not necessary.
It's the same thing as if you go, do I have to watch like this Marvel movie before I watch this Marvel movie. That's kind of the way it's going to be.
Yeah, not necessarily. It would probably
because
be helpful,
if you only watch the films, right, at the end of it, he gave Sam the shield. You don't know that he was conflicted with that when Captain America 4 comes out. If you didn't watch Disney,
just like you get some like sort of.
He could just assume that
you can see him flying through the sky in the suit and going, "Well, he gave me the shield for a reason." I mean, then you'll be like, "Oh, okay, well, that's what happened. He just became Captain America." But here's the thing: I think this is so. What HBO Max and Disney Plus are doing with these shows is kind of brilliant if you think about it. Because if you see that movie advertised, you're going to be like, well, when did this happen? And then it might say at the bottom, in Falcon and the Winter Soldier series, watch all now on Disney Plus. They're going to go, oh, I can go watch right now and see what happened. Like, I feel like that's what's going to happen.
Yeah,
like,
fair
they're
enough.
going to advertise it that way. The same thing with when Doctor Strange comes out with Multiverse of Madness and you see Wanda in the trailers. It's going to be like, and go watch WandaVision on Disney Plus right now. And it's going to be like a multi-advertising thing. So
I would give it overall. I would give the last episode an 8, and I would give the overall series a 9. I thought it was very well done. I was super happy about it. The only thing that I wanted to see is more Winter Soldier, not Bucky. I wanted more Winter Soldier, but that's fine. It's fine.
Yeah, they went the route of turning him into almost the funny sidekick.
Yeah,
because normally he's an assassin. So it's like, oh, he was an assassin. He was brainwashed. Now he's the funny guy. I mean, that's kind of what they were doing with him.
Yeah, I want the assassin.
You know when they went back to that scene where he was actually fighting at the beginning when he went to do the hit on the guys and then the son was like the bystander or whatever and he got murdered. I was like, can he fight? Like, can we get this kind of fighting? Like, you know, the closest thing we got is when they were in Madripoor. Right. When he was fighting in that Madripoor or whatever. So anyway, yeah, I think it's pretty exciting for me. What about you, Omega? Your series score? What would you give the whole series?
Like I said, for the final episode, watched the previous video. Spoilers, I gave it an 8. For the series as a whole, I would give it a solid 8.
Okay.
I thoroughly enjoyed it. I mean, for most grounded stories, I'm not a huge fan. I mean, I enjoy them, but if they would have been like out in space and fighting the Shi'ar Empire, I'd have given it like a 10 out of 10. But that's semantic, but whatever. But yeah, but just as on its own, 8. For the final episode, 8 for the whole series. Thoroughly enjoyed it.
And Paige doesn't normally numerically score anything, so I don't know if he has a number he wants to throw out there for the series.
I'll give it a thumbs up on both accounts.
Yeah. So
watch it. Don't watch it. Watch
all right, so here's the deal. Next week, join us for our scathing Mortal Kombat review. So if you haven't watched it, guys, watch it.
I'll tell you what, 2021 is an edgy year for Cyber. Snyder Cut, and then Mortal Kombat.
It's just win after win, man. 2021 for me has been amazing. You dig?
Yeah.
I can't wait for this.
So, real quick, WandaVision or Winter Soldier? What was better?
I personally think after seeing both of all of them, like all the episodes or whatever, I think I personally enjoyed the format of Winter Soldier better because we got a little bit of action every single week, whereas WandaVision it took like over half the series.
It was a slow burn.
Yeah. It's two different types of storytelling, but if I like on a rewatch thing, like I'll probably go back and rewatch the series. I don't know if I'll go back and rewatch WandaVision. That's kind of
I'm actually totally opposite.
Okay. Well, that's fine.
Mainly because I just like crazy, like off the wall storylines. Like I said, if they were going up against the Shi'ar Empire or something crazy like that, I'd have been all over, which is Guardians of the Galaxy, my favorite Marvel movie.
Yeah. What about you?
I had to go with WandaVision.
Oh, I mean, I bought Disney Plus for Captain Falcon or the Falcon, Captain America, and the Winter Soldier. I will go back and watch that. I probably won't go back and watch WandaVision, and that's not to say WandaVision's bad because it wasn't. It's just I don't see the need to go back and watch it.
What about you, Paige? If you had to rewatch one of the two, which one would you probably go back and watch?
Probably Falcon and Winter Soldier, just because I think week by week it was just better, like just a consistent thing. But it doesn't really matter that opinion because Loki's going to come out and be better than both of them.
Yeah, it's not for like a month though.
I know.
So here's the thing, right. So what we'll probably do is next week we'll review Mortal Kombat, obviously, and then we have 3 and almost 4 weeks before Loki comes out. So we'll figure.
6th, isn't it?
Is it?
Is
it 6th after
11th?
next week? So
June 11th. I think it is June 11th.
Okay, cool.
June 11th.
Okay, so we have a little gap of time there. So we're going to be doing different stuff, obviously, over here. Our Weekly Geekly, we'll talk about like news and stuff leading up to it, trailers, anything like that. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So next week we're going to be doing Mortal Kombat, and then I think Invincible ends next. Isn't the last episode next week? The finale is next week.
I believe so. Yeah.
Okay, so then we'll give everybody a week to watch that whole series. You'll get a chance to catch up on it. And the following week we'll be talking about Invincible, and then we'll do some other stuff. But pretty exciting. We have Black Widow coming up. That's the first Marvel movie we're getting back, and that'll be coming up in a couple.
And
months.
I want to go see that in the theater.
Yeah, we're all going to see that in theater.
Yeah.
So. By
When
the way,
does that come out?
July, right? August, July.
Oh God,
Yeah,
a long
see.
time.
And 5 days, Scott Pilgrim versus the World's coming back.
No, July 9th. July 9th. So it's July 9th is when Black.
Yeah, but it's supposed to have like some new special effects or something like that in soundtrack.
Okay.
Yeah.
So July 9th is Black Widow. We'll probably do a movie. So we're gonna do like we did with Snyder Cut, and what we'll probably end up doing is we'll have like a separate stream for a movie review for Black Widow, because I believe another show will be airing at that time, and I don't want to try and squeeze the review into the Weekly Geekly. So we'll probably do a separate thing on that. I have high hopes for that though, because I love Taskmaster, and I can't wait to see how they do him in the MCU.
I'm curious. We'll see.
And of course, we got Red Guardian and the new Black Widow. So it's going to be really interesting. Predictions on that, early predictions quickly before we go. Black Widow, do you think it's going to be really good, or do you think it's going to be a miss? What do you guys think?
I think it's going to be really good.
I think it'll just be like decent. Like I'm not expecting.
It's going to be all right.
I think it's going to be good. It's grounded combat mostly from the looks of it. It's Taskmaster, so it's pretty much going to stay that way. And ultimately, I think that it's not going to. Hopefully, it'll fare well in the theaters, but I think it's been pushed back so long that it won't. But I think it's going to be a good film.
I don't know if Godzilla versus Kong is making 400 million, then what? Like Black Widow.
And you got to think in the next 2 months, a lot more theaters are going to open, and a lot more places are going to be back to business as normal. So
I just hope people aren't like thinking, well, this movie got pushed back for so long, I'm not going to go see it. Or
it's already a prequel. I mean,
yeah.
Also, it wouldn't surprise me too much if, because the Julia Louis-Dreyfus character already got revealed in Falcon Winter Soldier, that they release another trailer for Black Widow and it shows her.
And have her.
Oh, yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah, she's going to definitely be in that.
Yeah. All right, well, that's pretty much it, you guys. Thank you so much for joining us. Join us next week for our Mortal Kombat review, which is going to be crazy.
Paige already triggered.
Paige, are you joining us for our Mortal Kombat review next week?
I haven't watched it yet. I might go see it tomorrow or the day after, one of the two.
Oh, that's right. You were going to go see it in theaters, right? Is that what you said you were going to do?
Don't. Please. Don't give that more money.
I will be honest with you. A lot of movies coming out right now are going to make a lot more money than they probably would, because people are ready to go back to the theaters. So anything that's coming out in the next 60 days is probably going to do pretty well, I would say. So Paige is going to go have a pint. And
isn't it like 12 in the evening?
No, it's in the morning over there. It's like 8 in the morning, right?
9 a.m. at the moment.
Oh yeah, he's going to get a pint.
So
day drink.
So all right, we'll catch you guys in the next stream. See you then.